Members of the House, please be seated.
Will the House come to order, Mr. Clerk?
Aloha and good afternoon. Today's invocation will be delivered by Representative Aaron Ling Johansson. Will the members who wish to participate please rise?
Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you, members. This is the first time in my 10 years here that I've ever done this. But I was thinking about what's going on nationally and how it reflects upon what we do here. So I chose something that has been quoted in many public official speeches, but in a nod to all of our colleagues, it's been quoted by both Speaker Nancy Pelosi as well as Speaker John Boehner. And although I'm not Catholic, I find the words to be very inspirational. And this is the prayer, part of the prayer of St. Francis of Assisi. Where there is hatred, let us sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. And may we all practice this session. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Johansson. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Aquino, Ms. Bellotti, Mr. Bronco, Mr. Cullen, Ms. DeCoit, Ms. Eli,
Excused.
Mr. Ganadin, Mr. Gates,
Excused.
Ms. Har,
Present.
Mr. Hashem, Mr. Hashimoto, Mr. Holt, Ms. Ichiyama, Mr. Iligan, Mr. Johansson, Ms. Capella, Ms. Kitagawa, Mr. Bertrand Kobayashi, Mr. Dale Kobayashi, Mr. Kong, Mr. Lopresti,
Ew.
Ms. Lowen, Ms. Luke, Ms. Martin, Mr. Matayoshi, Ms. Matsumoto,
Present.
Mr. McDermott, Mr. McKelvey, Mr. Mizuno, Ms. Morikawa, Ms. Nakamura, Mr. Nakashima, Mr. Nishimoto, Mr. Ono, Ms. Okimoto, Mr. Onishi, Ms. Peruso, Mr. Quinlan, Mr. Sayama, Mr. Takayama, Mr. Takumi, Mr. Tam, Mr. Tarnas, Mr. Todd, Mr. Tokioka, Mr. Ward, Ms. Wildberger, Mr. Woodson, Mr. Yamane, Mr. Yamashita, Mr. Speaker.
Present.
Mr. Speaker, 49 members are present, 2 are excused.
All right, Representative Matsumoto, you need to be visible on the screen, please. Thank you. We're on item 2, reading of the journal. Representative Morikawa.
Mr. Speaker, may this matter be deferred.
So ordered. Item 3, Mr. Clerk, are there any messages from the governor?
Mr. Speaker, there are none.
Item 4, Mr. Clerk, are there any Senate communications?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, we are in receipt of communications transmitting the noted Senate bill having passed third reading in the Senate.
Representative Bellotti.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the Senate bill laying on the clerk's desk pass first reading by title.
Representative Morikawa.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
All those in favor say aye. All opposed say no. The motion is carried. We're on item 5, Representative Bellotti.
Mr. Speaker, I move to suspend the rules of the House in order to consider a certain House bill for third reading by consent calendar.
Representative Morikawa.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
All right, is there any discussion, members? If not, all those in favor say aye. All opposed.
Mr. Speaker.
This is the motion to suspend the rules. The next motion is the one for debate. All those in favor say aye. All opposed say no. The motion is carried. For the third reading Motion, Representative Bellotti.
Mr. Speaker, I move that House Bill number 356, House Draft 1, as listed on page 1, pass third reading.
Representative Morikawa.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
All right, members, is there any discussion on this measure?
Mr. Speaker?
Representative Har,
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in opposition.
please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, with respect to House Bill 356, I think on its face it's well intended, but a further examination of the actual bill itself, the amendment that was made that I want to thank the Judiciary Chair for, but I think what's critical here is to understand the testimony of the Judiciary. Specifically, the HRS Section 601-4 directs the Supreme Court to appoint a judicial council, and they serve in an advisory capacity only. As such, the Judicial Council does not act as a board, as defined by HRS 92-2, and as much as they are not required to conduct meetings and to take official actions. Really, the Judicial Council's their primary role is basically to review applications, interview candidates, and consider candidates' private and confidential information for selection onto the ethics and the campaign spending commissions. And so one of the problems with this bill that I think that Common Cause, as well as the Judiciary, as well as the Ethics Commission brought to light, is the chilling impact that this bill could have upon qualified candidates who may in fact want to serve on these boards, but because of the requirement of having to publicize private and confidential information, that would actually have a chilling impact. They don't now want to qualify. We've been going through this problem for many years. When you require these members who serve in a completely their voluntary capacity, now you're asking them to produce all of this private information. Many people who are really qualified to serve on these councils choose not to do so because they don't want to expose their families and their private information. So I think one of the concerns that I have is that, you know, the Judiciary made it very clear that requiring the Judicial Council to now be exempted from the specific judicial exemption that was given to the Judiciary, and to be clear, the Judiciary is in fact exempt from sunshine. And now we're exempting the Judicial Council from sunshine. It seems to be this is a separation of powers issue. The judicial branch is specifically excluded from the operation of other bills because of the separation of powers. I think my biggest concern right now is it says the Sunshine Law carves out a distinction for when a board considers the higher evaluation, dismissal, or discipline of an officer or employee. Given that this evaluative role constitutes the primary function of the Judicial Council, it would seem counterproductive to open council meetings to the public only then to invoke the statutory exception from open meetings. Again, I want to thank the chair for the amendment, but if you read the proposed language, it's clear and unambiguous. It makes it clear that meetings of the Judicial Council shall be open to the public as provided in section 92-3, provided that deliberations for the selection of nominees shall be closed to the public. Deliberation for the selection of nominees has nothing to do, that's when you actually decide who is going to be chosen for those boards. It has nothing to do with the interview process, the selection, it has nothing to do with that preliminary process, and that's where all that confidential information is disclosed. So I just think that, you know, in discussions with the Judiciary Chair, I don't think that this bill reflects the intent. The amendment does not, in fact, reflect the intent of the Judiciary Chair, and to be passing it out on third reading is actually irresponsible on behalf of this body. So for those reasons, Mr. Speaker, I stand in opposition. Thank you.
Okay, is there further discussion on this measure? Representative Bellotti,
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and strong support.
please proceed.
Mr. Speaker, first I'd like to comment that the Judicial Council does more than deliberate and appoint members of the Ethics Commission and the Campaign Spending Commission. If you look at their authorizing statute, it says that they shall give continuing consideration to the administration of justice in the courts of the state. It shall make reports and recommendations biannually to the Supreme Court and also whenever deemed advisable by the court. At this point in time, we do not know what any of those reports say. Everything about the Judicial Council is shrouded in secrecy. This House is committed to public transparency and accountability. The committee of our Judiciary and Hawaiian Affairs Committee took into consideration the points about privacy, and the language for deliberations that was added to House Draft 1 tracks with 92-5, which makes it clear that the Judicial Council can, in fact, then apply confidentiality to both the interview process as well as the selection process. So this bill represents a commitment to transparency and public accountability that this House is committed to. And I speak in strong support of this bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
All right, is there further discussion on this measure? If not, we'll take Representative Tokioka.
No vote, written comments.
Okay, so ordered. Further discussion? Representative DeCoit.
Mr. Speaker, no vote and comments to the journal.
So ordered.
Thank you.
Representative Okimoto.
No vote, Mr. Speaker. And may I request the comments of the representative from Kapolei be entered into the journal as if they were my own.
So ordered.
Thank you.
Is there further discussion? If not, we'll take the
Mr.
vote.
Speaker?
Representative Matsumoto.
No, Representative Har.
Representative Har.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just brief rebuttal to the Majority Leader, please. Thank you for those comments, Majority Leader, but the fact of the matter, what I'm talking about right now is the issue of the amendment, which if you as an attorney can read the clear language, it says deliberations for the selection of nominees. It doesn't deal with the issue and it doesn't encompass the intent of the Judiciary Chair, which was to incorporate the entire process with respect to the interviewing and the hiring and the information that could be made public. That is not covered under the amendment. So that's the issue that I'm speaking to for the record. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
All right, is there further discussion? Representative Ward.
Speaker, with reservation, comments to the journal, please.
So ordered. Is there further discussion? If not, we'll take the vote. Representative Morikawa.
Mr. Speaker, on the measure before us, all majority members vote aye with the exception of the following Representatives: DeCoit, Kong, Onishi, Tokioka.
Okay, are there other additional no votes on this measure?
Mr. Speaker, please have the Mr. Speaker?
Representative Har.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Could you please reflect a no vote for me? I don't have a green slip, so I was told to verbally stand in opposition.
Yes, members who are remoting in need to verbally cast their no vote. So if Representative Har has a no vote, are there additional no votes on this measure? If not, said measure passes third reading. We're on item 6. Representative Belatti.
Mr. Speaker, I move to adopt Standing Committee Report numbers 199 through 258 as listed on pages 2 through 17, and that the accompanying House bills as may be amended pass second reading and be referred to their designated committees.
Representative Morikawa.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
All right, is there any discussion, members, beginning with SCR 199 on page 2? 199, 200, 201. Representative McDermott?
No vote, Speaker.
So ordered. 202. Representative Ward.
Speaker, 201, please, with reservation.
So ordered for 201. 202. Representative McDermott.
No vote, Speaker.
So ordered. Representative Okimoto.
Same request, please.
No vote. So ordered.
Speaker,
Representative Ward.
same request.
So ordered. Representative Tokioka.
Speaker, with reservations.
So ordered. Additional discussion? If not, on the next page, 203.
Matsumoto with reservations.
Representative Har?
Matsumoto
Representative Matsumoto.
with reservations, please.
Is that on 202 or 203? 202?
202.
Okay, on 202, reservations for Representative Matsumoto. Any other discussion on 202? If not, next page, 203, Representative McDermott.
No vote, Speaker.
So ordered. Representative Okimoto.
With reservations, please.
So ordered. Representative Ward.
No vote, please.
So ordered. Further discussion? If not, 204, Representative McDermott.
No vote, Speaker.
So ordered. Representative Okimoto.
Same request.
So ordered. Representative Ward.
With reservations, please.
So ordered.
No vote, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Capella.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Pruso.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Tokioka.
Mr. Speaker,
With reservations.
Reservations. So ordered. Representative
Mr.
Lopresti.
Speaker. Thank you. Reservations, please.
So ordered. Representative Tam.
Reservations, please.
So ordered. Representative DeCoit.
All reservations, please.
So ordered. So for Representative Quillen,
In support, Mr. Speaker.
please proceed.
I think there may be some confusion about the intent of this bill, so I just wanted to clear it up. We have an extremely regressive taxation policy in this state, which has created a perfect set of conditions for foreign and out-of-state investors to come and park their money here with the lowest property taxes and holding fees in the nation. It is the absolute best investment vehicle in property in the entire United States. This bill is an attempt to address the regressive nature of our GET, of our income tax, and also make sure that investors and second homeowners are paying their fair share of property taxes. It has a long way to go. It is very much a work in progress, and I beg the members' indulgence as we continue to work on it.
Okay, Representative Ganadin.
With reservations, please.
So ordered.
Mr. Speaker,
Representative Lopresti.
I'll change my vote to in support for now. We'll hear it and then Judiciary Committee. I appreciate the comments from the rep from the North Shore.
All right, thank you. So further, Representative Pruso.
Still remaining a no vote, but I did want to add that I support the intent. I am concerned about the repeal of the corporate income tax. That's the basis of my no vote. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. So further discussion? If not, next item is 205. 206. Next page, 207. Representative McDermott.
No vote, Speaker.
So ordered. Representative Ward.
Same request.
So ordered. Representative Okimoto.
Same request, please.
So ordered. 208.
Matsumoto, reservations.
Representative Matsumoto, reservations. So ordered. Is there further discussion on 207? If not, 208.
Mr. Speaker, I'm sorry, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Har.
On Standing Committee Report 207, please have the clerk note my reservations.
Reservations on 207 for Representative Har. Is there further discussion on 207? Okay, if not, 208. Representative Okimoto.
No vote, please.
So ordered. 209.
Vote.
210. Oh, Representative Pruso, 209.
No, actually 208.
208. Representative Pruso.
No vote. Same concerns about the corporate income tax.
Okay, on 208. 209. 210. Next page, 211. Representative Okimoto.
With reservations, please.
So ordered. Representative Ward.
Same request. Thank you.
So ordered. Representative McKelvey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Same request with reservations and comments to the journal, if I may.
So ordered. Okay, so further discussion? If not, 212. Representative Lopresti.
Oh, sorry, I'm not muted.
Okay, we're on SCR 212. Any discussion? Representative Ganadin.
In strong support, Mr. Speaker.
Please proceed.
The coronavirus has made it very clear that the internet is necessary to allow for certain members of our community to access healthcare services. It has been disproportionately unavailable in my community. I think that this bill will allow for gifts to be made so that we can make it more available for folks to connect to their doctors throughout Kalihi. Thank you.
Okay, is there further discussion on 212? If not, 213? Okay, Representative Okimoto.
With reservations, please.
So ordered. Representative Wildberger.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. No vote, please, and brief comment.
Please proceed.
Thank you. In opposition to 1286, because we're losing the race between vaccine and the variants coming to Hawaii, and the modicum of safety that Safe Travels has been offering us, I think should be kept in place, and autonomy for the county should also be maintained. Thank you.
Representative Tokioka.
Thank you, Speaker. No vote. And I have some brief comments, but before I forget, I'd like to ask permission to put comments into the journal.
So ordered.
Thank you. What this bill tries to do, in my opinion, Mr. Speaker, is to make all 4 counties the same. And I understand the consistency of that from a visitor standpoint when they're traveling from the mainland. But what is clear to me is that if you look at Kauai, how safe the travel has been to Kauai, and the Safe Travels program, for those of you from the neighbor islands and for anybody who travels in the neighbor island, you have to fill out this form that Safe Travels Hawaii has, and you go to the neighbor islands, and I don't know about Maui or Hawaii Island, but when you go to Kauai, you're checked at the gate. When you come out of the plane, they check it. Every single time you fly. You're supposed to do the same thing when you fly back to Oahu. But I've been back to Oahu since the pandemic 6 or 7 times, and not once have I gotten checked at Oahu on the QR code or everything else. But we have to fill it out every time we travel, and we do. But I don't know if anybody else has gotten checked when they come back to Oahu. But I think what it tries to do is tries to make all 4 counties the same, and we're not. We're not the same. I think Mayor Kawakami has done an excellent job keeping the people on Kauai safe. And I think when mayors on their own island try to do what they need to do to help keep their residents safe, it's not a bad thing, Speaker. I understand opening up the state. And we're working to try to get less expensive tests so that tourists and locals alike can get those tests so that they can travel throughout the state and travel throughout the inner islands safely. But for right now, this bill doesn't do that. And I'm voting no right now. Thank you, Speaker.
Okay, is there further discussion? Representative Morikawa,
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In strong support,
please proceed.
I recently received an email from a constituent who worked in the tourism industry pleading for help. I quote, "I am a single mother of 2 children, a 4-year-old son and a 17-year-old daughter. I have to have Wi-Fi so my daughter can attend school her senior year. I can't afford tampons, toilet paper, soap, toothpaste, laundry detergent, and my phone bill. Eventually, I will have no way to even file my claims for unemployment." Another plea from a business owner who has received many calls from friends who work for or own businesses related to the hospitality industry. The email says, "These people are devastated. I won't go into details on how they feel and where their state of mind or health is, but I want you to know what is being said on the ground level. This Kauai quarantine and the deviation from the Safe Travels program has crippled their businesses and livelihoods. They have racked up credit card debt and stopped payments on most loans and bills." And one more desperate constituent writes, "We have struggled to the brink of disaster here on Kauai. This has gone on long enough. Homelessness, poverty, drug addiction, suicide, alcoholism, and domestic violence are on a steady rise in our community. No one seems to care about the long-term consequences of suffocating the working class." Just this morning, the Star advertised headline, "COVID-19 pandemic harming mental health in Hawaii residents, especially young and lower-income people," survey reveals. People are in survival mode right now. The crisis is overwhelming for many residents. I have received some emails from prominent Kauai residents expressing their disappointment in my support, even threatening my existence at the legislature. I was brave enough to even return a call from an extremely upset business owner about my support for this bill. No matter what I said, her mind was made up that this bill will allow tourists to bring the virus in and hurt Kauai, and shame on me for going against our mayor. Mr. Speaker, Kauai is already hurting. These opposers are well off and enjoy the island to themselves. Some think we, the legislature, can hand out more money for unemployment. To me, the emails from struggling businesses and residents are much more relevant and reflect the hardship to meet their very basic needs. Unemployment for many has ended, and families are now really going to struggle. I am a voice for the residents and businesses on Kauai who are afraid to speak about this publicly because of possible backlash to the current tourist travel policy in place. I will take the criticism for them, and I will stand up and represent them in their time of need. Mr. Speaker, as this bill moves through the legislative process, it reveals valuable information and allows us to ask questions which are critical for us to understand how this policy helps or hurts us as we work to support families, businesses, our children, and move past this pandemic. Thank you, Chair of PDP, for inserting a purpose section that gives an in-depth historical summary. This bill allows a traveler with a pre-test result that has not been received in time a chance to take another test to avoid quarantine, and assures that the traveler stays quarantined until the result is received. The traveler is also responsible for all quarantine costs if a positive test is received. How does this open the floodgates to travelers? This will protect our Kauai residents and allow healthy visitors and Hawaii residents to enjoy our island and visit friends and family. I come to Oahu every week and see how the visitor industry is slowly coming back. Even being in a strict tier level, people here have freedom to roam, shop in stores, and dine in or take out in restaurants. Almost all people are masked and seem to respect social distancing. We are all aware of what we must do to protect ourselves from the virus, and it's our behavior that will determine stopping of the spread.
Representative Tarnas.
Mr. Speaker, I yield my time.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, at first it seemed like I was the only legislator with travel problems, and testimony on this bill was mostly Kauai related. So I thought maybe this bill wasn't necessary, since it seemed to only affect Kauai. Then I saw an article on the Washington Post titled, "Hawaii wants tourists. Tourists want Hawaii, but the rules are complicated." That made me change my mind, because the strict travel policies of Kauai and different policies of Maui and Hawaii Island are affecting the entire state. If you need to go to Hawaii Island from Kauai, you need a pre-test. Then in order to return to Kauai, you need another test. Thank goodness we don't need to pre-test to get to Oahu, because tests are expensive, and we need to find a way to allow for cheaper and quicker tests. People need to get back to work. Children need to get back to school full-time. Residents need to regain their livelihoods. They need to be able to pay their bills and support their families and loved ones. They need hope that there is light at the end of the dark tunnel and their suffering will soon come to an end. When is the right time to travel? When and how do we allow travel for those who have been vaccinated or those who have already been exposed and those who are proven to be negative? This needs to be addressed, and the advancement of the science is rapidly occurring, causing immediate policy changes. Moving this bill forward will continue the conversation and perhaps establish a policy that will benefit all of Hawaii. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Right, is there further discussion? Representative Dale Kobayashi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to take the words of the Majority Floor Leader as my own.
So ordered. In support. Representative Wildberger.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Still in opposition, with all due respect to my esteemed colleague from Kauai, I'd like to point out that the occupancy of the hotels in Kauai, Oahu, and Maui for the week of the 18th through the 23rd of January were all 20%. Removing the safety that we have, the modicum of safety that we have in the Safe Travels program, because the CDC is continuing to tell people that they should not travel, you cannot make people get on planes and fly here and spend their money here. We do not have economic health without public health first. Thank you.
Representative Capella.
Reservation, Speaker. Thank
So
you.
ordered. Representative Nakamura.
Mr. Speaker.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Russo.
Reservations.
So ordered.
Speaker,
Representative Ward.
same request.
Reservation. So ordered. Representative
Speaker.
Ganaden.
Mr. Speaker, with reservations, brief comment.
Please proceed.
As a representative representing urban Oahu, I feel uncomfortable voting on this measure considering how much it disproportionately affects neighbor islands as compared to Oahu. Stand by my reservations.
Representative McKelvey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Right support, however, I do have reservations. I've expressed them to the Chair of Pandemia, and I thank her for the work that she's already starting to do on this bill. It's 3 readings. It's got a long way to go. I have concerns with the language. I think it basically does nothing coming or going because of these concerns. However, I look forward to hearing this in judiciary, and hopefully we can have more dialogue on these concerns, and so with reservations. Thank you.
Representative Capella.
I'm sorry, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to change my vote to a no.
It's a no vote for Rep. Capella. So ordered.
Mr. Speaker.
Representative DeCoit.
Mr. Speaker, reservations with comments to the journal.
So ordered.
Thank you.
Representative Har.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Please note my reservations. May I please adopt the words of the representative from Kihei into the journal as if they were my own?
So ordered. Representative Takumi.
For now, no vote, Mr. Speaker.
So ordered. Is further discussion on this measure? Representative Ichiyama.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in support.
Please proceed.
Mr. Speaker, I am in support of this bill because I think that public health and economic health are inextricably intertwined. I don't think it's one first then the other. They have to move forward together. And there's research that supports this, not just locally, but nationally and internationally. The World Health Organization declares poverty as the single most important factor in determining health. And I think that's a crucial point that we've missed so far in this discussion, is the long-term impacts of a deep and prolonged recession in our state. When someone loses their job, they don't just lose their income in Hawaii, they also lose their health insurance. Many of our residents are dealing with long-term illnesses, high blood pressure, diabetes, obesity. When they lose their health care coverage, they may lose access to their maintenance medications, and they may end up in our emergency rooms. So I would just urge our colleagues to remember the larger picture also. Thank you very much.
Okay, Representative Tokioka.
I rise again in opposition, Speaker.
Please proceed. Second time, Yo.
Second time, and I'm not going to be long. I think what this bill tries to do is one size fits all, and it's certainly not like that. And I think, in deliberating on what we were going to do with this, I spent a lot of time talking with Mayor Kawakami, who most of you know him who were here, and some of you who weren't here still know him. And what he told me was, other people who are not in his position don't understand the responsibility of somebody passing away under his watch, and he has to explain to that family why the choices he made created a situation where that person, that individual, could have caught the virus and passed away. So I understand, the frustrations he has. He's also a business person. I'm a former hotel manager for many, many years. Most of my life, I managed hotels and restaurants. I want to make sure we get them open, but we need to make sure that when we open them, they're safe. And again, I go back to the Safe Travels program. When you come to Oahu, they don't check anything. When you go, I'm not sure, the Maui representatives or the Big Island senators, they might want to say something, but I know they check me when I go to Kauai. So once again, Speaker, in opposition, and I do understand the people that are in support of this bill, that want to make it uniform. But coming from Kauai, and if you see the emails and the phone calls and everything I got regarding this bill, you might have a different opinion. So my job is to represent the people in District 15, and that's why I'm voting no on this bill. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Representative Nishi.
Thank you, Speaker, in strong support.
Please proceed.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, as the chair for Labor and Tourism, prior to this bill being heard, we received lots of emails on both sides of the issue from throughout the state and also from Kauai, especially from Kauai. And our experience in those emails is that there are people on both sides of this issue on Kauai. As the speaker from Kekaha spoke earlier, there are people and businesses that are hurting tremendously because of the separate restrictions that are posed on the people traveling to Kauai, whether they're residents or they're visitors. I think it's been brought up in discussion here that people don't know what those kinds of restrictions are for any of the counties. And therein lies part of the problem. There is no requirement for check-in on Oahu, but there is also a requirement for you to take a test 72 hours prior to your arrival in Hilo or the Hawaii Island, and it be negative. So this is so confusing to people that are traveling interstate as well as visitors that are coming from overseas. There isn't a standard policy on what happens if somebody flies into Oahu and then has to go to Maui or Hawaii Island or to Kauai, or if they fly into Kona and then transit to Oahu. That policy is not the same. So people are so confused and they decide not to travel because of Hawaii's policies. So a standard policy would not only help our local residents in understanding as they go to visit friends, families, work, what those rules exactly are, what they have to do every time and to every island, and as well as visitors who are coming, visitors and even residents coming from overseas. Now, there have been bad actors. A lot of residents, you've heard cases where even though they were positive for COVID, still got on the plane and decided to come to Hawaii and create a health threat on the island that they live on. That to me is unconscionable by these people, but we're not going to stop these people from doing that. We cannot. It is a federal law that we cannot restrict who gets on the plane. So we do have protections in place. Those people were immediately arrested when they arrived in Hawaii due to the reporting of the airlines. And so I think there are adequate protections in place. This issue, this bill has been discussed, especially in our House COVID-19 committee, and was a recommendation from this committee, which is made up of members throughout the entire state from all kinds of industries and all kinds of areas, and I'm in strong support. Thank you, Speaker.
Okay, is there further discussion? Representative Ward.
Speaker, with reservations and a brief comment.
Please proceed.
I share the concern about the complexity of the regulations and particularly the 72 hours, Mr. Speaker, which really says we need a quick and inexpensive test, which one of the testifiers said. And that's why a few days ago I said we need the Oceanit, spit in a cup, 10 minutes, $20, and that would resolve all this stuff. So, Mr. Speaker, with that, may I also have comments into the journal, please?
So ordered.
Thank you.
So further discussion? If not, we'll go on to SCR 214. Next page, 215. Representative Okimoto.
With reservations, please.
So ordered. 216. Representative Tokioka.
In strong support, Speaker.
Please proceed.
And I'd just like to thank the introducer of the bill for moving this bill through. And I'd like to acknowledge one of the advocates that has been an advocate for many, many years on these issues. And her name is Francine Y., who passed away last year. And as many of you know who have worked with her, she was a huge advocate for people with disabilities, especially people who were deaf. So thank you, Mr. Speaker, in strong support.
Okay, is there further discussion on 216? If not, 217. 218, next page, 219, 220, 221.
Mr. Speaker.
Representative Lopresti.
Reservations on 220, please.
So ordered. Further discussion on 220? If not, 221, 222, next page, 223, 220.
Mr. Speaker.
Representative Ward.
Speaker, 220, are we on 223?
Yes,
I want
223.
to make sure I speak directly to it. With reservations, Mr. Speaker, because of the empowered new Stadium Development District Authority, they can just do about anything they want, but as I've spoken on this floor, I would really like to see that they would do some fundraising by having naming rights included as part of their duties. Having said that, with reservations. Thank you.
Okay, so Representative Presti.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm a no vote.
Was that a no vote?
A no vote, yes, and I have comments.
So ordered. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I realize this is second reading, but I think it is. There are many reasons to be opposed to this bill, especially at this time. In our collective mad dash to demolish and redevelop the Aloha Stadium District, any number of considerations appear to have been swept aside, in my opinion, to the benefit of a few. It appears at this stage, to me, that little to no consideration is being given to affordable housing, to workforce housing, and perhaps most importantly, to the district's central role for use in emergency situations. There are 5 reasons that I think we should be opposed to this bill, and I'll outline them here. 1 is disaster preparedness. 2 is the University of Hawaii's football program and what they have actually expressed their desire is. 3rd is the redevelopment and how we should do redevelopment of transit-oriented development. And 4th is the actual cost of $350 million at a time like this. And last but not least is, as my distinguished colleague from Hawai'i Kai has mentioned, the superpower authorities that are being given and to whom they are being given. I'll start with the first one. The first is the emergency preparedness. This is a matter of state and national security. Now, this is not just a district issue, a district project. This is a statewide and a national concern, actually. Honolulu Harbor, as we all know, is an indispensable port for the container ships that are vital lifelines to Hawaii's food supply, not to mention the countless other products and supplies that allow us to live in these remote islands. While plans are largely in place to use the port at Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickam as a backup should some catastrophic failure happen at Honolulu Harbor and it becomes unusable by a disaster, there is no space within Joint Base that can serve as a laydown storage area for shipping containers and what is known as a quote-unquote transshipment point for disaster preparedness. The new Aloha Stadium Entertainment District has been identified by Ha'ima and the DoD as the best place for this laydown storage area. In all of my discussions on this critical topic with admirals, with generals, with Ha'ima, with national security people from Homeland Security, none of them have contradicted that assessment. It has always been the plan. I have brought this up time and again since 2016. I brought it up at community meetings out there. I don't see any reference to this, Mr. Speaker, in the EIS and any of the development plans. And yet, as this body moves forward with its development plans for the district, absolutely no consideration has been given to the need for this emergency infrastructure. Let me explain it to you with a map. If there's a South Shore event, like a tsunami, we have Honolulu Harbor that can get wiped out. And so Aloha Stadium, Pearl Harbor becomes the backup point. And it's just not even a mile down the road and they can do the container shipment laydown area. The other backup plan is to bring those things 20 miles to Kailailoa, which if there's a major South Shore disaster, Kailailoa will be a point that needs to be used for airlifting. And if you look at the tsunami map, it is in the tsunami zone. So if there's a major disaster that takes out Honolulu Harbor, it's going to take out the backup. That's why Aloha Stadium needs to be written in any redevelopment plans that it is used for this capacity. Otherwise, if something really bad happens, this is not an exaggeration, people will die because we won't get enough food and enough supplies into the state.
All right, Representative Presti, the custom and practice of the House is to not allow for visuals during floor debate.
Oh,
thank you.
My apologies. That was my last one. The second reason is the UH football program. Now, I spoke with the athletics director 2 days ago, And my takeaway from that conversation and what I've seen of him speaking in the media is they don't even want this new stadium necessarily because they're not being given what they've asked for time and time again. It makes more sense if we support the Warriors football program to give them what they ask and what they've been pleading for, which is control over their own stadium, their own concessions, their own parking. And that can be done at UH Manoa Lower Campus for much, much cheaper with a much more reasonable size. Elvis is not coming back to Hawaii. We don't need a huge stadium for him. There's enough of room down at UH Manoa to put a stadium for them there. Third is TOD redevelopment. This state and this body.
Representative, hold on. Representative Nakamura, will you yield your time? Representative Pruso.
Yield my time.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. This body has put in so much time, money, and blood, sweat, and tears into getting the rail project done. And that is all part of a master plan for the entire island to talk about transit-oriented development. This is part of that. And it really, I beg my colleagues, it must include affordable housing, genuine affordable housing. I don't see luxury entertainment district ever being used in the same sentence as affordable housing. And I don't foresee that happening in any real development plan for this area. And we owe the people that much. With regard to the cost, $350 million, Mr. Speaker, $350 million at a time like this for a luxury entertainment district. We have UI backup. I have constituents since before the election who are still begging for UI assistance, whether it's actually giving more money to that or setting up the infrastructure for it. And that's what I find deeply troubling about this use, about using this rhetoric of superpowers for these people to redevelop an entertainment district when we should be giving superpowers to people to fix the UI program. We should be giving those superpowers to talk to about helping with rental assistant for people who have lost their jobs, for businesses that are struggling, for getting PPE, for getting testing, for getting the vaccine distribution out, Mr. Speaker.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
$350 million.
Representative LaPresti, please confine your remarks to the measure that's before us. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I believe I am because I'm talking about the cost of the project. Now, last but not least, the superpowers and who makes up this board that is being given these superpowers for redevelopment. Many of you may recall an infamous speech I gave on the floor in 2017, and it was on this issue, Mr. Speaker. It was on this issue about Aloha Stadium and who is on that stadium authority. And the people who make up that stadium authority do not have the expertise necessary to even follow through this project, much less be given these extraordinary powers without oversight. They're mostly made up of football players, ex-football players, and lobbyists. This is not the A-team that Hawaii wants to put forward to give superpowers to do much of anything, in my opinion. I would like to enter into the journal my comments from 2017, the 45th day, on SB 994 on this measure, where I talked about the real moral hazard of repeatedly rewarding people who are lobbyists with this great power when we really need to be more cautious with how we give that power out.
That's so ordered for the written comments.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So to summarize, UH, from my understanding, doesn't even want this deal. They're not being given a seat at the table. They're asking for 2 seats at the table. Elvis isn't coming back. We don't need a huge entertainment district. We don't need it now. That money needs to be put elsewhere. And rail development is an issue of statewide concern. Transit-oriented development is an issue of statewide concern. And I see nothing telling me that there's going to be real affordable housing with this development, Mr. Speaker. And for that reason, and many others, I'm a no. Thank you.
Representative Bellotti,
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, in strong support.
please proceed.
I would just like to point out that this bill actually adds residents to the Stadium Authority. Thank you.
Okay, is there further discussion on 223? Representative Pruso,
No vote.
so ordered. Further discussion? If not, Representative Gannon,
With reservations, please.
reservations on 223?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
So ordered. So further discussion? All right, remote members, please remember to be visible and audible throughout the proceedings. Thank you. We're on 224. Representative DeCoit.
Reservations, Mr. Speaker, and comments to the journal.
So ordered.
Thank you.
Representative Tokioka.
Reservations.
So ordered. Representative Okimoto.
Same request, please.
So ordered. Is there further discussion? If not,
Mr. Speaker,
Representative Har.
reservations, please, on Standing Committee Report 224.
So ordered. 225. Next page, 226, 227, 228, 229. Next page, 230, 231, 232, 233. Next page, 234, 235. Representative Ward.
Speaker, I appreciate your speed. It's a little faster than I can follow. On 234, with reservation, please, and comments to the journal.
So ordered.
Thank you.
Is there further discussion on 234? If not, 235, 236. Representative Prusso.
With reservations.
So ordered. Representative Capella.
No vote, Mr. Speaker.
So ordered. Representative Wildberger.
Reservations, please, Mr. Speaker.
Reservation. So ordered. Representative DeCoit.
No vote and comments to the journal.
So ordered. Representative Ganadin.
Reservations, please.
So ordered. Representative Lowen.
Reservations, please.
So ordered. Representative Okimoto.
No vote, please.
So ordered. Representative Tokioka.
Reservations.
So ordered. Representative McKelvey.
Thank you. Reservations, please. Thank you.
So ordered. So further discussion. Representative Quinlan.
Reservations.
So ordered. Okay, further discussion. If not, 237. Representative Okimoto.
With reservations, please.
So ordered. Representative McDermott.
Reservations.
Representative Kong.
No vote, please.
So ordered. Representative Quinlan.
No vote.
So ordered.
Matsumoto.
Representative Watsumoto.
Reservations, please.
So ordered. Representative DeCoit.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Tokioka.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Ward.
Reservations, please.
So ordered. Further discussion.
Mr. Speaker.
Representative Har.
Har. No vote.
So ordered. Okay, next page, 238. Representative Salyama.
In strong support, Mr. Speaker, with comments.
Please proceed.
Catalytic converter thefts occurring all across Hawaii is a serious economic and health issue for families. You know, these families rely on their cars to get groceries or even to get vaccinated. And so this bill would provide safeguards against these thefts, as well as provide them, families, a sense of security during this time in the pandemic. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, thank you. Is there further discussion? Representative Iligan.
In strong support, Mr. Speaker.
I'm sorry, was that? I couldn't hear that.
In strong support.
Strong support, so ordered. Representative Kong.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In strong support, and I already thank gratefully to the introducer of this bill, but I just wanted to let you know, Mr. Speaker, my own daughter's car just the other month had her catalytic converter stolen. So thank you very much.
Okay, is there further discussion? If not, 239. Representative Tam.
Back to StanCon report number 238.
Yes, please proceed.
In strong support, this is a big problem in Waikiki, so I'm really happy that we are passing it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there further discussion on 238? Okay, if not, 239, 240, 241. Next page, 242, 243, Representative McDermott.
No vote, Speaker.
So ordered. Representative Okimoto.
With reservations, please.
So ordered. Anything else on 243? Representative Tokioka.
Reservations.
So ordered. Further discussion? Representative DeCoit.
Reservations, please.
So ordered. Okay,
Mr. Speaker.
Representative Har.
Please note my reservations. Just a brief comment, Mr. Speaker.
Please proceed.
With respect to affordable housing, this is essentially a mandate. This adds to the cost of housing, thereby once again affecting why we don't have affordable housing in the state of Hawaii. There should have been an exemption for affordable housing. Unfortunately, there wasn't. Accordingly, with reservations. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, is there further discussion? Representative Ward.
Same request, with reservations.
So ordered. Representative Lowen,
In support, and just a brief comment.
please proceed.
With regards to affordability, I think it's actually really important as an affordability measure. We build buildings for the next 50 years, and, we know that we're going to need electric vehicle charging infrastructure in the future. The cost to install it up front is much less, and the need to have this infrastructure at multi-unit dwellings is especially important so that lower and middle income families are able to realize the savings from owning and driving an electric vehicle just like other families.
Okay, is there further discussion? If not, 244. Representative McDermott.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Okimoto.
Same request.
So ordered. Further discussion? Representative Ward.
No vote, please.
So ordered. Okay, we're on 245. Representative McDermott.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Okimoto.
No vote, Mr. Speaker.
So ordered. Further discussion? If not, next page, 246, 247, 248. Representative McDermott.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Kong.
Same request, Speaker. Thank
So
you.
ordered. Representative Okimoto.
Same request, please.
So ordered. Representative Ward.
No vote.
So ordered. Further discussion on 248. If
Mr.
not,
Speaker,
Representative Har.
with reservations, please.
So ordered. Further discussion? If not, next page, 249. Representative Tam.
In opposition, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, please proceed.
I appreciate the intent of this bill, which is to hold accountability to our deputy directors. However, my main concern is that it could lead to some infighting within departments, and I understand that it has a sunset date. However, during these upcoming 5 years, it's going to be a very, very tough road, and I just do not think that infighting within our departments is healthy for our state at this time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. For Representative Ward.
With reservations, please.
So ordered. Representative Okimoto.
Same request, please.
So ordered. Representative Wildberger,
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, in strong support.
please proceed.
I find that deputy directors are making decisions for communities and not necessarily being held to account for the desires of that community, so I appreciate this measure. Thank you.
Okay, is there further discussion? If not, 250, 251. Representative Ward?
Speaker, could we go back to 250, please?
Yes, Representative Ward, 250.
With reservations, please.
So ordered. Any other discussion on 250? If not, 251. Representative Prusso.
With reservations.
So ordered. Further discussion? If not, 252. Next page, 250.
Sorry, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Capella.
No vote on 252.
Okay, so ordered. Representative Prusso.
No vote.
No vote. So ordered. Further discussion? If not, next page, 253, 254, 255, 256. Next page, 257, 258. Representative McDermott?
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Bronco?
With reservations.
So ordered. Representative Kong?
Thank you, Speaker. No vote, please.
So ordered. Representative Tarnas?
With reservations, please.
So ordered. Representative Okimoto?
No vote, please.
So ordered.
Speaker.
Representative Ward?
Same request.
So ordered. Representative Tam?
With reservations.
So ordered.
Speaker,
Representative Tokioka?
with reservations.
So ordered. Representative Todd?
No vote. Thank you.
So ordered. Representative Wildberger?
Reservations, please, Mr. Speaker.
So ordered. Representative DeCoit?
Reservations.
So ordered. Representative Sayama?
With reservations, please.
Reservations. So ordered. Representative
Mr. Speaker.
Holt?
With reservations.
So ordered. Representative Lopresti?
This is SCR 258, correct?
Yes. House Bill
Reservation.
771. Is it no vote?
Reservations. please.
Reservations, so ordered. Okay, is there further discussion? Representative McKelvey,
Reservations, please. Thank
so
you.
ordered.
Rep. Matsumoto.
Representative Matsumoto,
Reservations, please.
so ordered. Is there further discussion on this measure or any other measure? Okay, if not, Representative Capella,
Reservations.
so ordered. Okay, is there further discussion? If not, we'll be taking a voice vote. All those in favor say aye. All opposed say no. The motion is carried. We have a short form motion. Representative Bellotti.
Mr. Speaker, I move to adopt Standing Committee Report number 259 as listed on page 17, and that House Bill number 613, as amended, be recommitted to the Committee on Education.
Representative Morikawa.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
All right, members, this is a short form bill vote. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. All opposed say no. The motion is carried. Item 7, Mr. Clerk, are there any resolutions for action?
Mr. Speaker, there are no resolutions for action. May all others be referred to print.
So ordered. Members, we're on item 8, announcements. Are there any announcements? If not, for the Representative Tam.
Yes, today is a very auspicious day for many in the Asian American community. It is Chinese New Year. So I just want to wish everyone a very happy Chinese New Year. 恭喜发财, 身体健康, 万事如意, which means hope you get rich. May all your wishes come true, and may you have good health.
All right, thank you. Representative Bellotti.
Mr. Speaker, I move that this House stand adjourned until 12 noon Tuesday.
Were there, I'm sorry, let's back up. Were there other announcements? Were there additional announcements? Okay, if not, Representative Bellotti.
Again, Mr. Speaker, I move that this House stand adjourned until 12 noon Tuesday.
Representative Morikawa.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
All right, all those in favor say aye. All opposed say no. The motion is carried. The House stands adjourned until 12 noon Tuesday.